Welcome to the Stoic tide. What if I told you? Cutting her off isn't the punishment you think it is. You believe that silence will shatter her, that disappearing will make her world crumble. You imagine her lying awake, replaying every memory, haunted by your absence. But here's the truth most men never face. She expected it. She's seen it before. She's even prepared for it. No contact might stop the noise. But it doesn't destroy the ego. It doesn't flip the power dynamic. It doesn't make her regret. And that's why you're here. Because somewhere deep down, you know this isn't about her anymore. It's about you. About remembering your value, your boundaries, your strength. She didn't just walk away. She left you questioning your worth. But that, my brother, is not a wound. That's an awakening. This isn't about revenge. This is about rebirth. It's not about hurting her. It's about becoming the man whose silence isn't absence, it's presence. So take a breath. Let's begin the journey. Before we go deeper, if you're ready to rebuild your peace, your power, and your purpose, hit that like button, subscribe to the Stoic Tide, and comment below. I rise from rejection. Now let's go deeper. Burn the illusion you're not grieving her. You're grieving the idea of her, the fantasy you built in your mind, the dream you convinced yourself was real. She said the right things. She touched your soul. She promised forever. But forever ended. The woman you fell for was not the woman who left. The version you loved existed only in your imagination, a projection built from your loyalty, your hope, your need to believe someone could finally see you. But what did she really do? Did she walk away without closure? Did she breadcrumb you? Did she run to another man while you were still bleeding? That isn't love. That's ego dressed in affection. And every time you replay the good memories, every time you reread old messages, you feed that illusion. You keep her elevated in a place she no longer deserves. You can't crush her ego if she's still sitting on the throne of your mind. So, this is your first act of power. Burn the pedestal. See her clearly. A Stoic man sees things as they are, not as he wishes them to be. She wasn't your soulmate. She was your teacher. And the lesson? Stop loving potential. Stop romanticizing chaos. Start respecting yourself more than your attachments. You don't heal by replaying fantasies. You heal by facing the truth. She didn't break your heart. She exposed the places where you had no boundaries. Let the illusion burn. And when the smoke clears, you'll see it, the man you were meant to be, standing where the ashes fall. Become unreachable. No contact is easy. Anyone can block a number. Anyone can delete a thread. But detachment, true, emotional detachment, that's rare. That's where power lives. To crush her ego, you must become unreachable, not just to her fingers, but to her influence. That means no posts for attention, no cryptic quotes, no stories designed to sting, no digital smoke signals begging her to see the new you. Because if she knows you still care, she still controls you. If a simple notification still stirs your emotions, she owns your peace, and that's not power, that's bondage. At the Stoic Tide, we call this discipline emotional fasting. You feed your energy only to what nourishes you. You starve everything else. She thrives on reaction, attention, even negative, feeds her ego. But indifference? That's famine. When you stop reacting, you cut her supply. And slowly, the silence that once punished you starts to punish her. Be the man she can't read. Be the mystery that unnerves her calm. Let her wonder, why isn't he chasing? Why doesn't he care? Because that's when curiosity becomes regret. That's when power shifts, not when you disappear, but when you vanish from caring. Unreachable isn't distance, it's elevation. You've simply risen to a height where her ego can no longer breathe. Master. The void, the silence after heartbreak can feel unbearable. Most men treat it like a waiting room, a place to sit until she returns. But waiting is weakness. You are not waiting, you are transforming. The silence is not punishment, it's preparation. In the void, you meet the real you, the one buried under validation, the one who forgot his own worth. Sit with that pain. Don't drown it. Don't distract it. Listen to it, because the voice of your pain is the call of your evolution. While she's out chasing distractions, you go inward, you sharpen your mind, you strengthen your body, you rebuild your mission. The Stoics said, the obstacle is the way. The void is that obstacle. And only those who embrace it emerge. Unbreakable. Make silence your ally. Make stillness your training. Ground, you don't survive the void. You master it. You sit there until solitude feels like luxury, until loneliness becomes clarity, until her absence becomes your oxygen. Because the man who can sit in silence, without needing attention, without needing validation, without needing anyone, becomes the man every woman will crave, and no woman can control. The void is not empty. It's where you meet your higher self, and once you've met him, you never go back. The mirror effect. Most men want closure. They want to be understood. They want her to admit she was wrong, but that's not closure. That's craving control. You don't crush her ego by explaining yourself. You do it by reflecting her choices quietly, calmly, relentlessly. You don't send essays. You don't beg for clarity. You don't chase her understanding. You let silence do the talking. When you stop chasing, she starts questioning. When you stop reacting, she starts reflecting. Every word she once used to control, echoes back at her in the silence. That's the mirror effect. You stop being the victim and become the reflection. She sees herself in your absence. She feels the loss in your indifference. You don't need to make her see what she did. Your composure already does. That when you rise without needing to explain, you become the consequence. And there's no argument stronger than that. A Stoic man doesn't tell her she lost a good man. He shows her through peace, through progress, through silence. She expected drama. You gave her distance. She expected anger. You gave her evolution. And when she looks back and realizes you didn't crumble, that's when the ego fractures. Because nothing is more terrifying than a man she can no longer affect. Withdraw. All validation, every ego needs fuel. For hers, that fuel is attention. Likes, reactions, jealousy, anger, it's all nourishment. And the moment you stop feeding her ego, it begins to starve. Understand this, even after she leaves, she might circle back. Hey, how have you been? Text a random story view, a breadcrumb of attention. It's not affection, it's control. Maintenance. She's not asking if you still love her, she's asking if she still has power. So stop paying in energy. Stop giving her free rent in your mind. Withdraw every ounce of validation, not with anger, but with indifference. You don't prove you've moved on. You embody it. You post, not for revenge, but for reflection. You move, not for attention, but for purpose. At the Stoic Tide, we remind men, attention is currency. Don't spend it where it doesn't return peace. Withdraw all investment from her validation economy. Let her ego starve on silence, because when she finally realizes your world doesn't orbit her anymore, she'll understand what real loss feels like. Not the loss of your presence, but the loss of your energy, and that is the moment the power dynamic flips forever. If this message resonates with you, if you feel the fire of awakening, the pull to rebuild, to rise, then this is your calling. Like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Tide. Comment below, I rise from rejection, because this is only the beginning. Next, in part 2, we go deeper into transformation, forgiveness, rebirth, and ultimate mastery. Until then, sit in your silence, train your peace, and remember, your absence will echo louder than any words ever could. This is the Stoic Tide, where broken men are not buried, they are forged. 6. Transmute the pain into power. Pain is not punishment. Pain is potential. You can let it drown you, or you can let it forge you. Most men replay the betrayal. Why me? Why her? Why now? But a Stoic does not ask why. He asks what now? The answer is simple. Build. You take the very pain she gave you, and you use it as material for your resurrection. The same fire that burned you now becomes the fire that tempers your steel. You don't drown in emotion. You distill it, every lie, every silent treatment, every night you stared at the ceiling. It all becomes fuel. You lift heavier. You move sharper. You grind harder. You learn silence. You learn discipline. You learn to breathe without needing her name in your lungs. This is transmutation. She thought she broke you, but she built you, not by intention but by consequence. Because when a man turns heartbreak into obsession for mastery, he becomes unstoppable. She will feel the shift, not through a text or a post, but through the vibration that surrounds you when you have reclaimed your soul. At the Stoic tide, we call this the alchemy of pain. It's the quiet transformation that turns loss into legend. Become the man. She can't replace. Here is a hard truth. She doesn't miss you yet. Right now, she's confident, telling herself there's someone better, someone easier, someone newer. Let her believe that. Your response is not to chase. Your response is to transform. You become the man who cannot be replaced. Not because you flash status or wealth, but because your presence feels different, anchored, authentic, rare. While she repeats old cycles with men who mirror her comfort, you ascend, you refine your body, you sharpen your purpose, you deepen your calm, you stop chasing dopamine and start chasing meaning. A Stoic man doesn't seek revenge. He seeks refinement. He becomes the standard by which she measures all others and finds them wanting. And when that moment comes, when she hears your name and her chest tightens, you won't even notice. You'll be too focused on the horizon. That's the paradox. The more you grow beyond her world, the smaller her world becomes. At the Stoic tide, we remind men, do not rise to be seen. Rise because you cannot stay small any longer. Build a new identity in shadow. Real transformation doesn't happen under spotlights. It happens in silence. You rebuild in the dark. No posts, no proof, no performance. The shadow is your sanctuary. Most men want her to see the progress, to witness the glow up in real time. That's not healing. That's marketing. A Stoic man builds with no audience. He works quietly until the new identity is not something he's creating. It's something he is. You don't broadcast the grind. You become the grind. You reset your habits, your health, your focus. You replace scrolling with reading, chaos with structure, noise with discipline. And when you finally emerge, you will not need to say a word, because everyone will feel the difference. And she, especially she, will not recognize you. That is rebirth. At the Stoic tide, we call it the silent rebuild. It's not revenge. It's resurrection. Let her watch from afar. You don't need to block her. You don't need to hide. Let her watch. From a distance she can't cross, you've already detached. You've already evolved. Now let your life speak, not through pity, not through performance, but through purpose. Post projects, not pain. Share growth, not grudges. Lead, don't signal. Every time she scrolls past your progress, her ego cracks a little more. Because she doesn't see a man trying to be missed. She sees a man who outgrew being controlled. Let her watch from afar. Let her witness what she walked away from. No words, no revenge. Just your life moving forward like a quiet storm. And when the silence finally echoes back to her, it won't sound like anger. It will sound like finality. That is when ego turns into regret. Forgive for power, not peace. Forgiveness is not surrender. It is sovereignty. You don't forgive to excuse her. You forgive to free yourself. As long as you carry anger, she owns space in your mind. You think about her to hate her, but thinking is still giving. Release it, not for her sake, for yours. When you forgive, you detach the last chain. You say to your past, you no longer define me. That is the final flex. Because nothing shatters someone who expected hatred more than being greeted with indifference. She expects bitterness. You give grace. She expects revenge. You give silence. She expects to haunt you. You walk free. That is how the cycle ends. Forgive not because you're weak. Forgive because you refuse to let her break you twice. And once you do, the weight lifts. The void becomes peace. And for the first time, your silence isn't emptiness. It's authority. At the Stoic tide, we call it the final tide. It's the moment you stop reacting and start reigning. Closing wisdom. The rebirth. You came here because you were loyal. Because you gave love honestly, and it was thrown away. But loyalty is never a waste. It's proof that your heart was true. Now it's time to give that loyalty to someone else, yourself. You don't need to punish her. Life already does that through comparison. While she repeats cycles, you rewrite your story. While she seeks validation, you seek meaning. While she looks back, you look forward. This isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your essence. You're not broken. You're becoming. And as you rise in silence, the world will sense it. The energy of a man who has made peace with his pain is a gravity that cannot be faked. So stand tall. Breathe deep. Let the past drift out with the tide, because you are the tide. You come and go on your own terms. You shape the shore, but no shore contains you. If this message spoke to your soul, like this video. Share it with a brother who needs to hear it. And subscribe to the Stoic Tide, the place where broken men are reborn through discipline, focus, and grace. Comment below. I rise with silence and power. Carry that with you. Because when you become untouchable, you don't need closure. You are closure. This is your era, built on stillness, focus, and unshakable self-respect.